Roughly 20 years ago, my wife and I just tied the knot. Things were tight financially, so instead of a grand European honeymoon, we opted for something more affordable and closer to home, a trip to Niagara Falls. We booked a hotel on the American side, not far from the falls, hoping for a few peaceful days to celebrate the beginning of our life together. Our flight itinerary had us arriving in Buffalo by late afternoon, but our plans were quickly derailed. During a layover in Chicago, we were bumped to a later flight due to overbooking. By the time we landed in Buffalo, sorted out the rental car, and drove to the hotel, it was well past midnight. We were exhausted. The hotel suite was corny in a honeymoon kind of way. A heart-shaped hot tub sat awkwardly in the center of the room, untouched by us. We couldn't stop thinking about how many other newlyweds had used it. My wife, barely able to keep her eyes open, collapsed onto the bed, curling up on her side, facing away from the room. Meanwhile, I headed into the bathroom to unpack our toiletries and freshen up. As I was rinsing my face, I suddenly heard her talking. I peeked out and asked, "Who are you talking to?" She bolted upright. "Didn't you just sit on the bed next to me?" I blinked in confusion. "No, I've been in the bathroom this whole time." Her face turned pale. I swear I felt someone sit right next to me. I tried to soothe her, chalking it up to fatigue. "You're just tired. Maybe you dozed off and dreamed it." But she insisted, her voice shaking slightly. We both got into our pajamas and crawled into bed, the tension still hanging in the air, but overshadowed by how tired we were. A few hours later, I was pulled out of sleep by my wife shaking me. At first, I thought it was for something romantic, but her tone was stern and frightened. "No, shut up. There's someone in the room." Disoriented, I fumbled in the dark for a light source. My wife can't sleep unless it's completely dark, so everything around us was pitch black. I finally found a bedside lamp and flicked it on. We looked around. The room was empty. The door was still latched with the additional security lock. Under the bed, clear. Bathroom, empty. "What exactly did you hear?" I asked. She stared at me. I heard someone walking out of the bathroom and coming toward my side of the bed. We eventually calmed down and drifted back to sleep, unaware that things were about to get weirder. Our second night began with some hopeful normalcy. We had spent the day exploring Niagara Falls and returned to our hotel, ready for a relaxing evening. As a precaution, we locked the door securely, made sure the latch was in place, and left the TV on mute for a little background noise. We hoped for uninterrupted rest. Unfortunately, that hope quickly faded. Sometime after midnight, we were both startled awake by heavy footsteps echoing around the room. We sat up, frozen, listening. The sound was unmistakable, deliberate steps pacing around. I called out, "Hello." No response. Then we felt it. The mattress shifted. Someone or something had just sat on the edge of the bed. I jumped up and turned on the light. Once again, nothing. No one. The room was locked, the chains still fastened, and no possible hiding place had been disturbed. We stared at each other, now well beyond the point of blaming exhaustion. Trying to brush it off, we left the TV on, volume low but not muted, hoping the noise would be enough to drive away whatever was happening. We were barely dozing off again when another noise came from the bathroom. This time it wasn't footsteps alone. It sounded like someone moving inside, knocking things gently, almost deliberately. Fueled by adrenaline and fear, I grabbed the nearest object I could use as a weapon, an umbrella. I crept toward the bathroom and swung the door open. Empty. No signs of movement, no shifting shadows. Nothing. But it didn't make us feel any better. The next morning, I approached the front desk and asked if our neighboring guest had been particularly active at night. The clerk gave me a curious look and asked for our room number. When I told her, she furrowed her brow. "Sir, there haven't been any guests on either side of your room. You're in a corner suite. No one is next to you." That night, we tried again to reclaim our honeymoon vibe. We returned to our room earlier, shared a small picnic of cheese, crackers, and wine, and set up our sleep conditions. Lights off, bathroom door closed, TV on, door double locked. Still, as the clock passed midnight, the sound of footsteps returned. This time, it was even more distinct. We sat silently in bed, hearing the floor creak beside us, as if someone was pacing in slow, deliberate circles around the bed. That's definitely not next door, I whispered. My wife nodded, clutching my arm. Then we both felt the bed shift once again. Someone was sitting down. In a trembling voice, my wife shouted, "Please leave us alone. We're on our honeymoon." The pressure vanished. We looked at each other, unsure whether to cry or laugh. We turned up the TV and put on reruns of Friends, letting the sound wrap around us like a security blanket. The next morning, I woke up feeling dazed. I turned to my wife and asked, "Did you go to the bathroom last night?" She gave me a look. "No way. There's a ghost in there." I wasn't leaving this bed, but the bathroom door was wide open. That was the final straw. We went downstairs and asked the front desk if we could change rooms. My wife blurted it out before I could find a more diplomatic explanation. "Our room is haunted." To our surprise, the woman at the counter didn't flinch. "All right, I can move you to another room," she said without missing a beat. She even offered to send staff to help with our luggage. We declined and chose to move everything ourselves. Somehow, carrying our own bags made us feel a little more in control of the situation. Our new room was uneventful. No creaks, no phantom footsteps, no pressure on the bed. Just the sound of our breathing and the gentle hum of the TV. We slept through the night for the first time since we had arrived. Looking back, we still talk about those nights and wonder what it was that shared the room with us. Maybe it was the spirit of someone who had passed in that hotel, longing for company. Maybe it was just a trick of our exhausted minds. But when we felt the mattress dip beside us, that wasn't imagination. That was real, and it never came back after we changed rooms.